Hey, it's me, B. Welcome back to my channel and another episode of Cakes and Cults. Today's cake is going to be a lemon blueberry cake that I'm actually making for Steven's parents for their birthday. And then today's cult is the Order of the Solar Temple. The Order of the Solar Temple is a religious sect that was created as a copycat, if you will. They were inspired by the Knights Templar. Back in 1984, it was created by Joseph de Montbro and Luc Giraud. Now, some history on the Knights Templar to give you guys some context. The Knights Templar were a Catholic military order based out of Jerusalem that was very closely tied to the Crusades. And their big thing was that they were trying to protect the Holy Land. They are very easily recognizable with like their white robes, also called a mantle, with a red cross on it. And they were incredibly secretive. They actually got disbanded by King Philip IV of France because they were so secretive with all their initiation ceremonies and all of their practices that it breeded distrust in the public. And King Philip IV actually owed them a ton of money. And he decided to take advantage of the fact that no one trusted them and go ahead and dismember the Knights Templar, torture them, get false confessions out of them, and burn them at the stake. So it was not a very pleasant end, but these false confessions and all this secrecy is actually what led to the special guest, led to the secrecy and the mystery surrounding the Knights Templar that you kind of get in movies like Indiana Jones and stuff like that. People are super fascinated by them. So the Knights of the Solar Templars' mission was to have people recognize the authority of power, also recognize the that the spiritual world was much more important than the temporal world or the world that we're in now. They also were preparing for the second coming of Christ, the solar god king, hence the solar temple thing. And they were also trying to get Christianity and Islam to unify. So those were their major goals with their religion. Not only did the group gather some of their inspiration from the Knights Templar, they were also inspired by Aleister Crowley, who is a famed British occultist. And they also drew some inspiration from the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which Crowley briefly belonged to. The group was based out of Zurich, Switzerland, where they held their central authority called the Synarchy of the Temple. And the top 33 members of the Synarchy, they were super top secret, and they were in a group called the Elder Brothers of the Rosy Cross. This is, again, you can kind of see Rosy Cross, Knights Templar, Cross. It's all, it all feels like cosplay to me, honestly. And I don't feel bad making fun of them because you'll find out in a little bit. So the Council of the Order actually created fraternities, also called lodges, that were run by a regional commander and 3 elders. You're going to notice 3 is very important. It was an important number in Christianity. And again, they're basing their beliefs off of an old Christian Catholic sect, so that's not surprising, honestly. So, they actually had levels and grades where you could progress in the order. There were 3 levels, and each level had 3 grades. The 3 levels were the Brothers of Parvis, and then the Knights of the Alliance, and then the Brothers of the Ancient Times. And that's how you progressed in that order. And then other than these lodges and levels, they actually had clubs, lots of clubs, where they would teach the teachings of Luc Jouret to members and people of the public. And that's how they actually started to gain some popularity. So the different fraternities or lodges actually held rituals with altars and relics and, you know, stuff that kind of harkened back to the Knights Templar. And for each step of advancement, there's actually a ceremony attached. Ceremonies were secret, but what we do know is that they usually involve jewelry, expensive purchases, initiation fees, and they wore these crusader type robes. So the white robe with the red cross. And they were actually encouraged to hold this sword that de Montbro has said that was an actual relic from the Crusades that he had gotten in another life 1,000 years ago. Again, cosplay. This feels like cosplay to me. So I'm going to go ahead and preface this right now with a trigger warning, because we are going to get into the murder, and that's not everyone's cup of tea, but honestly, you come to this Cakes and Cults show for a reason, and that's the weirdness, the murder, and I guess the cakes. So let's dive in. So October 1994, the infant son of a member, and the infant son's name was Emmanuel Dutoit, was killed by being stabbed repeatedly with a wooden stake because de Montbro believed that this child that had been born was the Antichrist and had come to stop in his glorious mission and stop the order. Then he held a ritualistic Last Supper with 12 Inner Circle members. A few days after that, 15 Inner Circle members were found to have completed suicide by poison. 34 members were found to have been murdered by gunshot wound. 8 others were found to have been murdered in other ways. But these bodies were found in an underground temple that was lined with mirrors and covered in Templar regalia and symbolism and all sorts of stuff. The bodies, when they were found, were all wearing their ceremonial robes. They had their feet together, so all of them had their feet touching each other in a circle, and they all had plastic bags over their head, and they had been shot in the head. So there's evidence to suggest that the victims of the gunshot wounds were actually drugged prior to being shot, and in another part of the country, in 3 ski chalets, other bodies were found. Now, the reason why these tragedies were found was because authorities were actually responding to fires that had been set where the tragedies took place by a remote control ignition device. In these 3 ski chalets, they actually found 7 children who had been murdered laying together. The authorities actually found farewell letters from the members stating that the reason for what they did was that they were trying to escape the hypocrisies and oppression of the world, which, I mean, yeah, kind of sucks. If thought 1994 or whatever sucked, look at 2020. girl, you got nothing on us. Quebec police were actually doing some investigating because of all these tragedies, and they had found that some members were donating up to $1 million Canadian of their own personal money to the order. And all of these ritualistic, I guess you can say, like suicide, mass murders, happen to coincide with equinoxes and solstices and, the changing of the seasons with some relation to their beliefs. There was another mass death that took place between the days of December 15th and December 16th, 1995 in the Vercors Mountains of France. The 16 bodies wouldn't be discovered until December 23rd, but what was discovered is that 2 members shot and killed the other members, put them in a star formation, and then completed suicide by firearm and self-immolation. One of the 16 dead was actually a former Olympian by the name of Edith Bonalou, who had actually competed in the women's downhill in the 1956 Winter Olympics. Then, on the morning of March 23rd, 1997, 5 members completed suicide by self-immolation. They set their house on fire. Authorities responded to the fire, and upon searching the ground, they found a shed out back that contained 3 teenagers who actually happened to be children of one of the couples that had completed suicide. They were alive, but heavily drugged. So they left out there, honestly. So between the years of 1994 and 1997, 74 members of the order were either killed or completed suicide. It's actually believed today that there still may be between 140 to 500 members of the Solar Temple. After all that, boy, I don't know. But apparently they may still be in practice today. So that is the Order of the Solar Temple. I want to do something a little spooky and mysterious for this close to Halloween, because I don't think I'm going to have an episode out on Halloween. But the cakes are almost done. I just finished this frosting. The compote is in the fridge. I'm going to come back with the cake nice and assembled. I probably will look different because I have to let the cake set for like 3-4 hours. But I will definitely show you the beautiful cake once it's complete. I'm so excited. All right, see you in a few minutes. Well, actually, to you it'll be like 2 seconds. See you in a couple seconds. See you soon. I'm back, and let me tell you how frustrating this cake was to put together. With the recipe, you get the cakes and then you slice them in half and then build layers, and then you put them in this cake ring. So I'm going to take it out of the cake ring briefly just to show you how it looks, and then I'm going to put the cake ring back on because this is for Steven's parents and I'm not going to cut into it. I'm going to insert the picture after this to show you what it looked like on the inside. Hopefully it's not garbage. I've never done this before. Please be kind. All right, let me, ooh, there we go. I've gotta release the beast just a wee so it can, okay, there we go. Oh no. Oh no. It's gonna fall apart no matter what, I'm guessing. Okay. I took it as far apart as I could. Okay. Okay. Just set that aside. So, it's a little messy and a little flat and honestly not great. But you know what? You don't come here for great looking cakes. If you did, you're at the wrong channel. You come here to be entertained, and part of that entertainment is cake fails, I guess. So it'll be edible, and that's all that matters. It'll be edible, it just won't be beautiful, and that's okay. So I'm gonna go wash my hands and put this back in the fridge to set up for a couple more hours until we eat it. But thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you, I love you, and have a happy Halloween.